Welcome to The Gift of Life with Gregg. I'm your host, Gregg Francis, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Barry Kaplan and Leora Lieberman. We save lives, plain and simple. Have you known someone stricken with leukemia? Has a family member of yours suffered from lymphoma? Then turn up your dial. This show is for you. We are the gift providing a second life. We are the gift of life. Since 1999, we've saved over 2,700 lives. For many patients with blood cancer, bone marrow donation is often their last hope, and that's where we come in. We try hard at what we do, but we will never be satisfied until we can say, one day, we found a match anytime, anywhere, for anyone. That's the gift of life way. So now we have the scissors, we've opened the box, and now it's time to unwrap the gift of life. Alrighty, hello everyone. Let's have a good time today and welcome to our show. Last week's show discussed if youth sports is becoming too competitive. And Barry, it was a very lively and interesting discussion. We had plenty of callers, as you know, and we apologize to those that we couldn't get to. We apologize. We please ask you to call in today. Also, for those of you who tuned in last week, you know that September is Blood Cancer Awareness Month. However, only creating awareness for 1 month, it won't solve the blood cancer epidemic. So we'll continue to spread the word, and we ask our listeners to do the same. As I've mentioned before, Pacific Islanders are having a real tough time. Hispanic people are underrepresented. Asian people are underrepresented. Our African American friends are underrepresented. I hope society continues to be proactive and joins the worldwide registry. If you want to get involved, please call Bridget at 1-800-9-MARROW. Again, please call Bridget at 1-800-9-MARROW. Now, Barry, this is tough for me to talk about.
Why is that, Greg? What happened? What happened? Tell us.
The Jets lost 31-0 on Sunday, and the score does not indicate how poorly they played. We're off to a 1-4 start, and if there's a silver lining, I don't think it could get any worse. And as I mentioned last week, I don't want JETS to mean just end the season, but at this point, it's getting very close.
31-0, man.
It is tough. So as I mentioned before, Barry Kaplan is back and better than ever, and roving reporter Leora Lieberman is on very special assignment, and we're going to hear from her later in the show. For those who have been our supporters this season, welcome on back. We thank you for all that you've done to spread awareness and transpire action for our show and for our cause. Because of you, we are ranked the #1 radio show on 1470 WWNN, our flagship station, as well as being the #1 bone marrow radio show worldwide. And yes, there is more than one. As previously mentioned, thanks to you, our supporters, our listeners, our show will be syndicated in 6 major cities. So that means more awareness, more people swabbing, more contributions, and the culmination of all of our efforts will equal more lives being saved, and that's why we do what we do. For those people who are tuning in for the first time, we're so glad that you could join us for Gift of Life with Gregg. I'm Gregg Francis. Welcome to our show. We encourage our listeners to call in at any time at 1-888-565-1470. BK, that's
1-888-565-1470. Call up and share with us your thoughts on our topic today. And with that, Greg, what is our topic today?
Today's topic, Barry, is called the tipping point, and it's a term phrased by Malcolm Gladwell in his book, appropriately called The Tipping Point, where there are 3 types of people in the world: connectors, mavens, and salespeople, and you're going to get into that in a little bit. But for purposes of our discussion today, what is the factor or tipping point that tips you or influences you to contribute to a charity? Now, every type of media solicits you to contribute some type of money. Infomercials, the checkout lines in the supermarket, your children's schools, book drives, bake sales, Girl Scout cookies. I happen to be partial to the Thin Mints. March of Dimes, Easter seals, your religious place of worship, etc. Everywhere you go, it's like a walking billboard to contribute to a philanthropy. You have so many choices. So what tips you or influences you to contribute? The Chronicle of Philanthropy cites two major influences, but I don't want to mention that until later in the show. I want to hear from our listening audience what that is. So, again, the tipping point is who or what is the motivating factor for you to contribute to a philanthropy? How long will you continue to contribute? And why do you contribute? Why do you sustain to contribute?
So, listeners, we want to hear from you. What tips the scales into you donating to that special cause or charity, or we'll even broaden the scale. What tips you into doing anything? Political campaigns are one that I always like to talk about.
That's
so
a great one.
Money.
You get solicited for a political campaign.
Yeah, so
Barry,
much money
that's great.
in politics. What tips people into actually giving the money to a politician? It's something that's fascinated me.
And Barry, we'll talk about this a little bit. With a tipping point, they say the few people are very, very influential, and they're called the connectors.
Connectors, mavens, and salespeople. Three different types of people. We're going to get into it later. Keep in touch with us about this. It's a really interesting concept introduced by Malcolm Gladwell, a socioeconomic mad scientist, some people, very controversial figure, but we're going to talk more about him later.
I think he's a great modern-day philosopher. You could say decision maker, but in that genre. But what we're here to do today is we're here to spread awareness about the Gift of Life Bone Marrow Foundation, a life-saving nonprofit that gives patients like our 6-year-old friend Sammy, who over the last week or two, we ran about 115 drives.
Wow.
It's incredible. So hopefully one of those 115 will find her the life-saving match that she needs. She needs a second chance at life, and we want to find that for her. But every day, everybody that's listening right now, take stock of how special life is, how every day of good health and happiness is a true gift of life. Now, before I go any further, and Barry, this is a staple of our show, I have to thank my own gifts of life, people who make me smile every day and remind me of how lucky I am. To undoubtedly my biggest fan, who I had lunch with today, incidentally, my mom, Katie in Lake Worth. Mom, I love you. Thank you for everything. To my biggest Maryland, D.C., and Virginia fan, hello and thank you, Grandma Margie. And to my two boys who are my gifts of life, Nicholas and Patrick, who, as you must know by now, are 11 and 7 years old. I love you boys, and you're really the apples of my eye. I want to say a special hello to my friend Evie Goldfine, who organized over 80 drives that culminated this past weekend. Evie, it's a Herculean task. Lives are going to be saved as a result of your efforts, and you're truly a hero in my book. Also, Barry, there was a former guest on the show, Bob Nystrom, 4-time Stanley Cup hockey champion, and he completed September the 14th. He completed his first Ironman, I believe, at 62 years old. He finished it.
Holy moly, 62 years old doing an Ironman.
Yeah, I believe it was 26.2 miles running, 2.4 miles swimming, and over 100 miles biking.
Oh my God, gives me me palpitations thinking about it.
And yeah, he did it under 14 hours, so he beat his goal. Bob, thank you for being a friend of the show, a supporter of Gift of Life, and we applaud you on your efforts. Great, great job. So without further ado, let me turn it over to my dear friend and co-host, Barry B.K. Kaplan.
Hey guys, it's Barry Kaplan here. We got our first call coming in. Before we get to that, I want to talk about the Strikes for Life tournament coming up on Sunday, October 19th. Gift of Life's second back by popular demand bowling tournament. It's going to be taking place at Strikes at Boca, lanes on Military Trail if you're familiar with the area. Cash prizes, lots of cash prizes for this one. $1,500 for the first place, $1,000 for second, third gets $750, fourth $250. And Greg, am I right? 1 out of 6 pays?
1 out of 6 pays, and we're putting out a please come support our event. Even if you're not a great bowler, the joy is that all the proceeds are going to go towards testing kits and inevitably we're going to save somebody's life for having a fun bowling tournament.
And you know, I want to really clarify for people because I've been talking to a lot of people about this bowling tournament, Greg.
You've been hitting the bowling alleys
I
left
have
and right
been, yes.
in the Broward and Palm Beach County. I thank you for that, BK.
Now I want to I want to address my audience here. This is a scratch tournament, meaning your score that you bowl on that night is your score. No handicap, no added bonus, this or that. We had a gentleman who walked into the tournament without a handicap, our first tournament. He didn't think he was going to get even past the first cut because he averaged, lower than...
No, about a 190. He's a decent bowler, but let's not say an elite scratch bowler.
Yeah, he's not, a phenomenal, scratch
Average,
bowler. But he came in that day, and because he came in that day and he gave it his all, he walked out. How many pins was he within first place?
They actually had to go to a roll-off. He tied for first place.
They tied for first place. It was a two-frame roll-off. It must have been like two pins or something like that.
It was he lost by a pin, but it goes to show that if you go out, had a great time. He came in second out of 40-plus bowlers. He could do it. You could do it. Come out and support our cause. If you don't get a cash prize, you still win because you're helping save somebody's life, and you want to know something? I don't know if you could find a greater prize than that, Bear.
Listeners, I can guarantee you that this bowling tournament is a load of fun. So come out October 19th, Strikes at Boca. Again, we're going to have brackets, scratch pots. We're going to have this game called Skluck that Greg, he told me about. It's a real fun game. If you want to hear more about it, come out Sunday, October 19th, Strikes at Boca. We'll see you there. Can't wait to see you guys. Let's take our first caller now because we got a really early one in the game. Joe, you are on the air. Joe, can you hear me, Joe?
Hey, Barry, this is Joe.
Joe, how's it going, Barry?
Hi, Joe.
I'm doing well. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Barry.
Joe, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from D.C. today.
All right, Joe, let me ask you, Joe from D.C., what do you think about what we've been talking about? We're trying to figure out what tips you into giving a contribution to a charity or a political cause.
Any type of philanthropy. What is your motivating factor, Joe?
Sure. I think the main one for me is certainly, some sort of personal attachment. There are a lot of charities that go around, and certainly a lot to choose from if you're someone who is interested in donating to certain charities. For me, I think that anytime I've had some sort of personal attachment, say a friend who's had cancer, or, a child that I know who is special needs, that sort of attachment is really what makes me want to help them. And so I help the organizations in turn.
Joe, I have one question and one comment. First question, how'd you hear about the show in the D.C. area?
I heard of it at my workplace. There's a gentleman here who had just done things over the weekend at his congregation, and I'm actually not Jewish, but he was talking about it at his congregation. So I went on the website and then saw the show on the website.
And we mentioned, Joe, before that a lady by the name of Evie Goldfine, who is a phenomenal ambassador for Gift of Life, spread a Yom Kippur initiative, a Yom Kippur initiative, where Reform synagogues, the congregants in over 80 shuls across the United States all swabbed on Yom Kippur, and I believe a few in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area took part. The other thing before Barry wants to tell you something, Joe, in the Chronicle of Philanthropy, it's correct. One of the two major influences is how did it affect your family or how did it afflict your family? So, Joe, I'm proud to say that you're in the majority of why people contribute to certain philanthropies.
Yeah, and again, anytime that, and I think it works the same with my friends, I certainly try to rope them into whatever I'm into. And sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes it does, and I think most people feel that way. That unless it touches you, it depends how many standard deviations away it is. If it's one or two, people seem to be certainly more apt to be involved. More than that, it's been my experience. It's a little bit tougher. I have a wife who works in the nonprofit sector, and I know that she certainly shares those sentiments. But when you do have that personal attachment, it is a very powerful thing.
Joe, thank you for your contribution to the show today. I want to let you know one of the events actually coming up in your area. On Sunday, November 9th, Gift of Life is having a Walk for Life at Rock Creek Park in Washington, D.C. Are you familiar with Rock Creek Park?
Is it in Washington, D.C. or
Sure.
Rockville?
Sure, it's pretty much a DC park.
Okay, so it's in Washington, D.C. Registration begins at 7 o'clock, and we'll be finishing up by about 10:30, so we'll have you home to watch the Redskins if that's your team.
Certainly is. Thank you very much, Greg.
Oh, thank you. And listen, reach out. I hope that you're able to make it then on November 9th, where hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer than it normally is in that part of the country at that time of the year. So, Joe, if you're out there, please look for me. I'm going to be out there myself, and my name's Gregg Francis. Thank you for supporting our show, and if you could, please spread the word about blood cancer.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thanks for your call,
Have a
Joe.
good day.
So speaking of this Walk for Life, there's a Walk for Life coming up on November 9th, Sunday, November 9th in Rock Creek Park. Admission online is $30. We invite you to visit our website, giftoflife.org. And we also have another walk coming up in New Jersey. And that's coming up on October 26th, Saddle River County Park in Paramus, New Jersey.
Promise.
Paramus. You know what? I just can never pronounce it right. Paramus, New Jersey. The best part about both of these walks is that you actually get to see a donor and a recipient meet for the first time ever. And I tell you what, you can't find a dry eye in the audience when you see two people who've so impacted each other's lives meet each other for the first time.
And there was a gentleman by the name of Jeff and his wife Amy who we met last year at the New Jersey Walk, who have been tremendous friends to the Gift of Life family. In fact, they were able to join us this past year for a holiday party at the end of 2013. Just such a phenomenal family, and he really recalibrated his life. He spends 3 days a week with his granddaughter. He's taking such advantage of his Gift of Life for a second chance. So we want to afford more people that opportunity.
Absolutely. And I believe we have another call. Call on the line. We'll take that call again. Caller number 2.
All right, Brad, welcome to Gift of Life with Gregg. How are you today?
Hey, you got Brad here from Syracuse. How you doing, guys?
All right, Syracuse. Well, Brad, how'd you hear about the show in Western New York?
Actually, I have a brother who's a past donor, so I'm fairly familiar with the Gift of Life and all that you guys do. Big time listener, first time caller. So, thanks for having me on.
No, welcome to the show.
And we welcome your call, Brad.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. I really like the topic today. I kind of just wanted to weigh in on the last caller's tidbit. I certainly agree with the personal connection. Certainly, having a brother who's a donor myself, it really got me invested in the cause. Running recruitment drives for you guys, throughout the years. And I just wanted, we had a remarkable, last year I was an undergrad at Syracuse, and we really had a remarkable thing happen here last year for sort of the Central New York Make-A-Wish Foundation. We had one student who decided to run an ultra marathon. So he ran the 56 miles from his fraternity house in Syracuse, New York, to a brother affiliate chapter at the Cornell house. So that was a
Wow.
56-mile journey that he undertook. So, that little anecdote really just brings me around to my point. I think when someone does something personally remarkable, it is, really inspiring and can certainly, encourage people, maybe even out a personal connection or even any knowledge at all, to really want to go ahead and donate to a cause.
Well, we echo your sentiment, Brad. And let me ask you, are you familiar with Malcolm Gladwell? Are you familiar with The Tipping Point?
No, I'm not.
So, Brad, let me ask you then, what is that extra kind of magic that makes you contribute? We know that there's a relationship from friends and family that exists, but we all have relationships with friends and family. In fact, the maximum number of relationships that a human can have is apparently 150. So,
Right.
we have tons of relationships, but what is it that these special relationships do for us that makes us go that extra mile and open our wallets up, in your opinion?
No, that's a really good question, Bear. I think it really depends on, the situation, whether, it's a loved one or just, an acquaintance. But, to go that extra mile, I think that's sort of, what's inherent in a person. I believe, really in nature versus nurture. So how someone is born, what's inherent inside of them and what they're, willing to do for others. So that's what I would say.
That's a great point.
I just want to say one thing, and I'm very fond of Syracuse University. We have a gentleman that works for us now that recently graduated from Syracuse. His name is Alec, and did a Herculean job. It seemed like swabbing 1,200 or 1,400 people for Gift of Life. So, Alec, if you're listening, I'm happy that you spread the word to your friends in Syracuse, and the whole Orange Nation. Keep up the good work.
Brad, thank you so much for your call.
Thanks, guys.
You know what, BK, we've been getting a lot of calls. I know that we have some people on hold, but let's take our first commercial break, and then we get back. We could talk about this interesting topic of what motivates people to contribute to their favorite philanthropy. So we'll be back in a few.
ThrowItBetter.com. Do you need help with your bowling game? Are you taking the right 5-step approach? If you want to become a competitive bowler, even a recreational bowler that's considering joining a league, or a league bowler that is considering joining a tournament, you need to see Vince. He's going to show you how to throw it better. He'll get you the right equipment. He'll show you the right approach. And as a certified coach, he'll put you in the best position to succeed. If you're interested, please contact Vince at throwitbetter@gmail.com and tell him that Greg sent you. Again, that's throwitbetter@gmail.com, or call Vince at 954-541-5414.
If you own a business and have the need for commercial insurance, I suggest you call Chris Moore of Brown & Brown Insurance in Fort Lauderdale. Chris has been in the commercial insurance business for over 30 years and can handle any company's need for property, general liability, workers' compensation, and automobile, just to name a few. Brown & Brown, being countrywide and the 5th largest agency in the country, gives Chris the tools he needs to meet all your insurance needs. So call Chris at 954-331-1420. Again, that's 954-331-1420. We want to extend a special thanks to our friends at the Boca West Foundation for all the wonderful work they do for Gift of Life and for all the meaningful service they give to the Boca Raton community. For over 3 years, the Boca West Foundation has generously supported local charities in the Boca Raton area. The Boca West Foundation. It's all about the kids. Are you in the market for a health plan? If so, please visit my good friend Gary at Health Plans Unlimited. No plan is too big or too small. Gary will customize a plan that's affordable and comprehensive, just for you. If you're interested, please visit Gary Goldman, the best in the biz, at www.healthplansunlimited.com. Again, that's www.healthplansunlimited.com. Or you can call Gary Goldman directly on his personal line at 954-303-6676. Again, that's 954-303-6676. And tell him that Greg sent you directly from the Gift of Life. Health Plans Unlimited. We have the health plan for you. Welcome back to the Gift of Life with Greg, the show that talks about giving and receiving. I'm your co-host, Leora Lieberman, and I'm here with my host, Greg Francis, and co-host, Barry Kaplan. If you'd like to call into our show, we'd love to hear from you. Please call 888-565-1470. Again, that's 888-565-1470. And now, back to our show.
And welcome back to the Gift of Life with Greg. Barry Kaplan here. Thanks for joining us. If you're just joining us, this is the Gift of Life with Greg. We're talking about some housekeeping, some things, items that are coming up. We got the Gift of Life's annual Walk for Life coming up in Saddle River County Park in Paramus, New Jersey.
Paramus. But no,
Oh.
you're getting it. Next time I know you're going to get it, but you're getting
Paramus.
closer every time. I'm proud of you, my man.
Paramus, New Jersey, October 26, 2014. Again, October 26. I believe the walk starts at about 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
And we're expecting a great turnout at Saddle River County Park. The great thing about these walks, and I want to remind people, if you're interested, go on www.giftoflife.org or call us up at 1-800-9MARROW. And if you're interested about these walks, the great thing about these walks, really the greatest thing I think, is the opportunity to see a donor and a recipient meet for the first time ever. And you know, not a dry eye is left in that audience when these two people meet. Greg, you've seen countless donor-recipient meetings, and why don't you explain it to the audience?
How do you explain or picture this? Somebody saved your life. You don't know who they are. You don't necessarily know why they were chosen, why they saved your life, except for it's just the right thing to do. And for the first time at one of these walks, you're going to meet that person that gave you and your family the second chance at life. And hence, they're hopefully going to be partners for life. Most of our donor and recipients that have met each other have had lifelong friendships, walked each other down their weddings, been in wedding parties. It really is a very emotionally charged moment. And Barry and I, you and I have spoken about this plenty of times. It really reaffirms our faith in humanity.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up in a nutshell. I mean, there's nothing more human than seeing someone save someone else's life, a stranger save someone's life for no reason at all, other than the fact that they believe in the sanctity of life. Listen, I hope our New Jersey listeners will be able to attend this walk. Our New York listeners, our New Jersey listeners, you guys are out there. Registration, again, is at 10 a.m. On Sunday, October 26th at the beautiful Saddle River County Park in Paramus, New Jersey. Paramus, New Jersey. And you can pre-register online at www.giftoflife.org/walk-for-life. And further information, please call Bridget at 1-800-962-7769. Greg, what's up?
I just want to mention one more thing about what influences people to give to certain charities. And when we started out this show, Barry, the intent was, to celebrate life, and we haven't lost perspective of that. That's why in every show, we've always asked people not to lose sight of happiness and health and being able to do the simple things. This week, I got a call because one of our listeners in South Florida, and he wants to remain anonymous, has pledged to give Gift of Life $20,000 in the next few weeks to try to help Sammy's plight.
Wow.
And it shows what a medium and what people could do collectively to try to help one another. We never expected this in our wildest dreams, that we would get this type of listenership. And this individual reached out to me at Gift of Life, and he said, we have to save this little girl. And we have to save all of our patients who are critically ill. So very exciting that an additional $20,000 are going to go towards testing kits. And that's just one way that this individual felt that this is the best way that he could contribute his money to save a life and really that person's loved one. This one in particular happened to be a 6-year-old little girl.
Remarkable. Just remarkable. We got another call waiting on the line. Let's take that that upcoming call. Let's take that call. Let's go. Caller number 3.
And I think it is our roving reporter. Where is Leora Lieberman?
Hello, I'm at school today, just in Gainesville, Florida.
All right. What's going on in the world of Leora? I know that you are on a special assignment, so what's cooking, Leora?
Nothing much. It's, busy week with midterms and the middle of the semester, so everyone's kind of in their intense study mode and just looking to do really well on their exams. So everyone's doing well.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Leora, with your midterms and everyone at the University of Florida.
So, Leora, I know that you're very heavily involved In fact, with the social media, you're responsible. I know that Holly, I believe, was a sorority sister of yours, or at least
Yes.
in the same sorority, and that's
Yes.
how we met Sammy. I know that you're very civic oriented, and so is your sorority. So, what motivates your sorority at the beginning of every semester to choose a philanthropy to support?
Right. Okay. So my sorority, our national philanthropy is the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, and Elizabeth Glaser was actually an AE5 sister, and she was through a blood transfusion. She unfortunately contracted HIV.
Oh gosh.
So but through that experience, she created this global health initiative that has virtually transformed pediatric AIDS in Africa and has brought so much research to the area and has really transformed the research and has saved so many children's lives. And now,
Wow.
I think I'm almost positive that today it's completely possible to prevent mother-to-child transmission because of her. So I think just through that, AEFI had chosen it as its philanthropy because, Elizabeth Glaser was a sister, and it's just a wonderful initiative that helps people worldwide. So, and in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we also support Sharsheret, which is a breast cancer research foundation.
All righty. No, so
So-
do you guys choose at the beginning of every semester, or do you have?
No, every our philanthropies are national philanthropies, so AEFI nationals. Those are the two philanthropies for every AEFI in the country.
Oh, okay. No. That makes sense. But I can't thank you enough on behalf of Gift of Life for spreading the word that you did. It certainly
you're
helped
welcome.
our organization. It helped our show, and due to your efforts, lives are going to be saved. Lives are going to be saved.
Thank you. Well, I think if nothing else, life is just about leaving it a better place. So if I could help one person, that's really all that matters.
That absolutely is fantastic. So, Leora, I know that you have your midterms. Study up, and we'll see you
you
when
so
you come
much.
down. I think you're coming down in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm coming down in a few weeks for another interview, so hopefully I'll get to see you guys.
Oh, great.
We're looking forward. Maybe you'll come on the surprise on the set.
Yeah, maybe.
All righty. Thanks for
Alrighty.
calling in. We'll see you next week.
Have a good rest of the day, guys.
All right. Thank you.
All right, let's dive into this topic now. Malcolm Gladwell's tipping point. Now, let's talk about this, Greg, because this is a really cool concept. I want to do it through the word of the day, now. N-O-W, now, at the present time or moment. And we want to tie this in because we believe that the tipping point can be applied to this missive right here. We are asking our listeners, our listening audience, to set aside and plan something that they want to do now, something meaningful to them, whether it's a trip, learning a language, calling a relative, something simple, something complex. Try to plan it now. And planning it is 99% of the work. I mean, I'll take, let's use our good friend Wayne Gretzky.
And I believe that he's going to be on the show, in fact, in November.
Yeah, we are really excited for that. We're probably going to be talking to Wayne Gretzky in a number of weeks from now, aren't we, Greg?
Yeah, but he gave a wonderful quote that I always take with me. He said, and he's probably the greatest hockey player of all time. He said, and I quote, "I missed 100% of the shots that I never took." Now, that's what we're saying. We normally give a word that's SAT qualified, but this may be the most important one that we said yet. Now, if there's something that you're lucky enough to do but have been procrastinating for this, that, or the other reason, take 10 minutes and start charting your course. Plan it out now. You don't want to leave anything on the table and any regrets. And we see this every week that certain people, due to health circumstances, can't. If you're capable enough to do it now and let us know about it. That's something that we said on our inaugural show. Please set the time, your bucket list, your wish list. If you could accomplish it within a certain period of time, we'll fly you down here on our show to talk about it.
And, it could be something as minor as liking Gift of Life's Facebook page. You might be that very next person who throws, Gift of Life over the edge and becomes, makes it into a huge national cause. Who knows? That's what the tipping point is about. It's about that moment right before something becomes mainstream, something enters the world. Like Greg, let me ask you this, Greg, because this is I think really funny. I'm a young guy. When did videos of cats on the internet get like into a big thing, a big deal?
Well, that one you asked me before, and with all due respect, I don't know the answer.
But
so.
there was a moment that cats on the internet were not a big deal, and then something happened. These three people came in: the maven, the salesperson, and the connector. And cat videos on the internet exploded. It's just it's like saying widgets. It's the same thing.
Look at the ALS.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, a month ago, a lot of people, to recognize the cause, acknowledge the cause, were dumping ice water and ice on their head. It went viral. One person connected that, and they got that to the right people, and it spread viral.
Exactly, and that's what Malcolm Gladwell says. And if anyone is familiar with Malcolm Gladwell, or if you're not familiar with Malcolm Gladwell, go on TED.com and look him up. He is an amazing speaker, an amazing philosopher, asks all the right questions, a remarkable individual, amazing thinker. And this is what he says. He says that 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people.
And those people, incidentally, are called connectors. And what's interesting about this, and we have a lot of college students that listen, make sure that your network is very diverse, because if you're only going to speak to the same people that know the same people, it's called an echo chamber. And I'm not here to give a lecture, but in life, it's a great lesson that if you diversify your network, chances are you'll meet people from different spectrums, and it'll give you a lot more opportunity. Those connectors have access to varied people, and one of them may be what's called the mavens. And the mavens are the ones that know intricately about a subject. And then in life, you always need salespeople to tip. And go ahead.
Exactly. The concept of the tipping point, the three main laws of the tipping point. The first is what Greg just discussed, law of the few. The 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. That's the connectors, the mavens, and the salespeople. The second law of epidemics, or the law of the tipping point, is the law of stickiness. Does it matter? Does it matter? Does ALS matter to people? Do these Lou Gehrig's disease matter? Do cat videos matter? And the third is the law of context. What is the environment telling us about this topic? How are, other people responding, society responding? And, this is kind of like the wild card, the law of context, because we live in such a unique world nowadays where information travels so quickly between one body to another that it kind of complicates things to the nth degree.
Yeah, and if anybody's interested, it relates to a lot of different dynamics in life. They teach us a lot in business school. Everybody probably heard of Paul Revere, but the question is, how many people heard of William Dawes? And Paul Revere, they both had the same job to say that the British are coming, the British are coming. Paul Revere was successful on his route. William Dawes was unsuccessful because he did not have a diversified network, whereas Paul Revere had a very diversified network. And they teach those same skills in business school. It's a very interesting dynamic. So if you want to read up on that, and we have a lot of college students that are listening, when you go out into the job market, really heed our advice on that.
And we're going to take a quick break, but before then, let's take our next call. Randy, you're on the air. Randy.
What's up, hot fellas?
How's it going, Randy?
Most of the conversation, but how's everything going?
Everything is going well. So, Rand, I know that you're a frequent caller to the show, and I believe you're in Coral Springs. What we're talking about today is what motivates you to give to a certain charity, a certain philanthropy?
To me, it's given to, I think, more kids, or to either like donating blood, or I give money to kids that are in need, like with cancer patients, or what you guys are doing, or veterans, anything that helps our country. the people that served our country and children that are in need that can't really take care of themselves and need help.
Oh man, that is absolutely fantastic. And what's been different about your answer, Rand? Have you been afflicted with any of the charities that you give to? Meaning, are your kids healthy? Have they been unfortunately afflicted, or it's just causes that are near to your heart?
It's, thank God, nothing really happened that's in my family. It's just old age, it seems to be, or cardiac mostly. But just donating to, I'm in that kind of a field, professional, and I had a really good friend that passed away with leukemia, so that was one of the things I got involved with when I got older too. But besides that, it's just, just helping people that are in need that, like I said, serve their country, or kids that can't help themselves. So,
all righty.
That's what I'd like to enjoy doing.
I don't. I know that you're in Coral Springs. I don't know if you're a bowler or not, but we are having a bowling tournament on October the 19th at Strikes in Boca. Are you familiar with the bowling center?
Yeah, I know that center. I bowled there before, and I bowled Coral Springs and Davie. So I like to bowl. That sounds good. I'll probably see you there then. When is it? October 19th.
October the 19th, and certainly look out to give us a call. I know that you're one of our frequent callers every week, and we love hearing your voice.
So that'll be on your website, though, the bowling thing, so I can just look up there and get all the information, too?
Yeah, you could actually pre-register on our website. So just go to www.giftoflife.org. Again, Bear?
www.giftoflife.org/tickets.
/tickets.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so and if you could, Randy, you're a local gentleman, so if you could spread the word to, your friends, colleagues, if you know anybody in the bowling community, that would be great. But even if not, the real reward are that the proceeds of this event are going to go to save a life.
Good. That sounds awesome. You're doing a great job, guys. Keep it up.
All right, we appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Rand. We're going to take a quick break, and I know we have some calls on the other side, so we'll take a quick break right now, and when we get back, we'll get back to the calls on what motivates you to give to a certain philanthropy.
Are you in the market for a health plan? If so, please visit my good friend Gary at Health Plans Unlimited. No plan is too big or too small. Gary will customize a plan that's affordable and comprehensive, just for you. If you're interested, please visit Gary Goldman, the best in the biz, at www.healthplansunlimited.com. Again, that's www.healthplansunlimited.com. Or you can call Gary Goldman directly on his personal line at 954-303-6676. Again, that's 954-303-6676. And tell him that Gregg sent you directly from the Gift of Life. Health Plans Unlimited. We have the health plan for you.
ThrowItBetter.com. Do you need help with your bowling game? Are you taking the right 5-step approach? If you want to become a competitive bowler, even a recreational bowler that's considering joining a league, or a league bowler that is considering joining a tournament, you need to see Vince. He's going to show you how to throw it better. He'll get you the right equipment. He'll show you the right approach. And as a certified coach, he'll put you in the best position to succeed. If you're interested, please contact Vince at throwitbetter@gmail.com and tell him that Gregg sent you. Again, that's throwitbetter@gmail.com, or call Vince at 954-541-5414.
If you own a business and have the need for commercial insurance, I suggest you call Chris Moore of Brown & Brown Insurance in Fort Lauderdale. Chris has been in the commercial insurance business for over 30 years and can handle any company's need for property, general liability, workers' compensation, and automobile, just to name a few. Brown & Brown, being countrywide and the 5th largest agency in the country, gives Chris the tools he needs to meet all your insurance needs. So call Chris at 954-331-1420. Again, that's 954 331 1420. We want to extend a special thanks to our friends at the Boca West Foundation for all the wonderful work they do for Gift of Life and for all the meaningful service they give to the Boca Raton community. For over 3 years, the Boca West Foundation has generously supported local charities in the Boca Raton area. The Boca West Foundation. It's all about the kids. Welcome back to the Gift of Life with Gregg, the show that talks about giving and receiving. I'm your co-host, Leora Lieberman, and I'm here with my host, Gregg Francis, and co-host, Barry Kaplan. If you'd like to call into our show, we'd love to hear from you. Please call 888-565-1470. Again, that's 888-565-1470. And now, back to our show.
And we're back with the Gift of Life with Gregg. Barry Kaplan here. We're taking your calls in our last 13 minutes. We got a couple more calls waiting, though. Let's take some more calls, Gregg. They're coming in.
I think one of my favorite callers from New York, Frank, is on the line. Frank, are you there?
Boys, how we doing? This is Frank.
Frank, how are you doing, man?
Frank from Long Island,
doing
right?
Terrific. How you doing today?
Frank, your call last week about the coach had me in tears. I just see so many of those people. But have you been listening to the topic today about what motivates you to give to a certain philanthropy?
I did. I caught a little bit of the last part, and I got, I have something to say I don't think anybody else has said before. I think that's kind of a common theme. But again, people are saying, they want to do something for people that they know. They want to do something for, things that they have some sort of familiarity with. I think there's something that's not really being said, and that's that, what makes you feel good. Sometimes you just want to be able to do something that's going to make you feel good inside. And obviously you want to make that have to do with something that's important to you. But I think people might not want to think of it that way. Maybe they're afraid of being called selfish or something like that. But for me, it just makes you feel good sometimes when you donate, whether it's your time. It doesn't have to be money. It could be a time. It could be something else. But for me, that's something that I think people should really realize, that it's okay to think that way. It's fine to feel good after doing something like that. And for me, I think that's a big thing too.
This is why I love you calling in, Frank, because Frank is not afraid to tell it how it is. And what you're saying is just, it's just pure altruism. People like to help out, and it makes us feel good about ourselves because it reminds us that we're human. I could not agree more with you,
there's
Frank.
beauty in simplicity.
Absolutely.
Frank, every week you're Solomonic on this radio. You always bring wisdom to the show. I really appreciate it, and we hope that you call in next week. I don't know how far Paramus is to where you live, but as Barry mentioned, we're having a walk on October 26th in Saddle River Park in Paramus. So, Frank, if you could be there, that would be great. Love to meet you and Frank Jr.
It's not too far. I got some family out there. I don't go to Jersey unless it's a Jets game, Greg. But for that, I might make an exception. But I do have some family out there in Jersey, so maybe I'll talk to them, see what they can do too.
All right, that sounds great. We could certainly use people supporting our cause at the walk, and then maybe after we could watch the Jets-Bills game, although the Jets don't look good right now, but maybe we could bring some luck.
Oh, I know.
Hey, Frank, thanks so much for your call. I really appreciate it.
To them. Maybe somebody could donate money to them, help them out a little bit, make them feel good.
They have so much money under the cap, they could donate us some money, but they're $21 million under the cap, but maybe they could give us some money. So thanks so much, Frank. I believe now that we have Rashid on the phone. Rashid, are you there?
Hello, my friend. It's Rashid. How are you?
Good. Rashid called the first show. Remember Rashid?
This is Rashid. How are you?
How's everything, Rashid?
Friends, how are you?
Good. I remember that you called during the World Cup. I remember Rashid called during the World Cup.
That's correct, Greg. He did.
I believe that you called during the World Cup. What's your take on this, Rashid?
Greg, Betty.
Yeah, Rashid, what is your take on this? Why do people give to certain charities one more over another?
You have Betty.
Yes, Rashid, can you hear me?
I'm sorry. The call dropped for a moment. I have a different story compared to all the other callers usually because I am different. I am from Pakistan. So let me tell you quick story. Don't worry.
Please, go ahead, Rashid.
it all began. There was flooding in my country one time, and lots of charities came and said, "Hey, look, we'll help all those people in Pakistan. Yes, we'll help them." And then you know what I found out? That these charities ended up giving to militants who were destroying my country. And I was so frustrated I could not give to a charity for a very long time after that. I hope you can understand how I feel about that.
Well, Rashid, are you a practitioner of the faith of Islam?
I'm sorry?
Are you a Muslim, Rashid?
Yes, yes.
Well, first of all, happy Eid. And secondly,
thank you so
I
much,
do want to acknowledge that one of the 5 pillars of Islam is charity. And it saddens me that you had to go through that experience in your home country, Rashid. But I hope you found your wishes to donate to charity renewed in America, where we do, for 99.9% of the time, really try to make sure that all the money donated goes to a good cause. And at the Gift of Life Foundation, we can assure you that.
Of course. That is good. That is good. Of course, it is very different here than back home. I know that, and I'm very happy for that. Because, as you said, giving is part of one of the 5 pillars, so it is very important to me.
Well, we really appreciate your call today, Rashid. And is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that I like what you're doing, and I very much look forward to this bowling.
All right, we'll see you there at the bowling tournament, Sunday, October 19th, 9 a.m. registration, 10 a.m. bowling begins. We'll see you there at 10, Rashid. Thanks so much for your call.
Thank you, Gregg and Barry. I love both of you.
Thanks,
All right,
Rashid.
thank you, Rashid. Okay, so for our listening audience, this is something that Barry wanted to get off his chest for a while.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Every week, we generally go out for a lunch and discuss what the following week's topic's going to be. And hence, the tipping point has a double entendre, which I'll let Barry go into right now.
Why don't our listening audience take a moment and try to put yourself in my position here? I'm eating lunch with Gregg. I am a big soup fan, so I order a crock of French onion soup, and Gregg orders a half chicken with like mashed potatoes or something, whatever. Simple lunch. The crock of French onion soup, it's hot. It's filled to the top. It's hard to balance. It's hot to the touch. It's heavier than the chicken sandwich. The chicken sandwich plate, it's a broad plate. There's things aren't, going all over the place.
It's light.
But the chicken sandwich, the chicken plate cost $22, and the French onion soup cost $8. Yet the server gets tipped based on the price of the food, not on the work that they exert bringing us our food. What is going on here, Gregg? I don't get it.
So it is. We always talk about the tipping point being Malcolm Gladwell, but Barry brought up a great point at lunch. What is the point of tipping is it based on the service, or is it just a cultural norm that it's based on the price point of the food? So in essence, the labor and the price are not necessarily congruent.
And we've asked a lot of people. I've asked a lot of my friends who are in the service industry. We've asked a lot of our employees at Gift of Life. We asked them, look, do you understand? You get what we're talking about? And
what is the tipping point?
Yeah, and they say, well, but we give a percentage of our bill. And we say, yes, but the percentage of your bill is based on the price of the food that you paid for, not on how much the waiter exerted effort.
So as a rule, I'm guilty of what most other people say. I generally over tip, and I have to acknowledge that I tip on the price point of the food itself, not necessarily on the labor exerted. Granted, you hope to get great service regardless of what you order. Barry, I know, takes another position.
I'm going to make a lot of enemies right now. I mean, look, I have a $5 bill in my pocket. If there's good service, I'll take out my $5 bill. I'll put it on the table. That's my tip. If I have bad service, no $5 bill. It's that easy.
So you don't base your gratuity, your tip, a service percentage based on the price point of your meal. It's strictly based on the service.
Yes, because that's what I'm tipping. I'm tipping how much the waiter is exerting themselves to and the same thing is for bartenders. Why do we tip a bartender? Let's be honest. I know, Gregg, you don't drink. But you go to a bar and you tip a bartender really high on the first, bat because you're out with your friends or you're out with a girl. you want the bartender to be on top of you. You know, you want to always be getting drinks, you know, put up. So you want good service. That's why you're tipping a bartender. You're not tipping a bartender because they charge $9 for a shot of, you know, Johnny Walker or whatever it is. Like, you're tipping them because you want good service. So why don't we use that same logic in the food industry? It just, I don't know what's going on. And a lot of people don't seem to agree with me, unfortunately.
I think your logic is on point. I don't. I follow probably the customary norms, but the question is, and I'm going to pose to you, Barry. Your $8 crock of soup when we go on our, you know, our lunch sojourns once a week to talk about the show. It's heavier, it's more labor intensive, and mine is three times the cost. So what would you tip? Would you tip the same on the soup and on the chicken meal?
You know what? Look, let's. This is getting too crazy. How about this? How about we just increase the wage that these people are earning? And, you know, this is something that we've been talking about a lot, and it's a personal opinion of mine, that you just raise the minimum wage. Price of living goes up year after year after year, no matter what. There's nothing we can stop food prices from rising and inflation from occurring. Why aren't we paying our restaurant workers adjusted wage?
I think for the most part, it's psychology. If the prices go up 18% for each item, it's going to dissuade people from going to restaurants. Tipping is giving a gratuity is discretionary. Most people give a tip between 15 to 20%, but it is discretionary. If it's mandated in the price of the food, psychologically, it's going to dissuade people from going out to dine.
I want to hear from our listening audience. We're running out of time right now, but when we get back next week, I want to hear from people, if you remember. Would you go to a restaurant that had higher prices for food, but as a rule of thumb, there was no tipping, and the waiters did not want to be tipped because they were so generously, given a wage? You know, like, let's just suppose. I mean, it's a good supposition. I think it's fair.
All righty. Listen, we thank all our callers for coming in. I hope that you continue to give to charities that you believe in. Have a great week. Support the bowling tournament. Support our walks, and keep getting the word out about blood cancer. We love our audience. Thank you, and God bless. Have a great week.
Thanks for tuning in to The Gift of Life with Gregg. I wanted to personally say thank you to everyone who participated in today's show. And I also wanted to let you know if you're interested in what we do here at The Gift of Life, please call 1-800-9-MARROW. That's 1-800-9-MARROW. Or you can visit our website at www.giftoflife.org. Again, that's www.giftoflife.org. Even though we're wrapping up our show today, remember, you must always unwrap the gift of life.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were